There is someone in your life who has almost no presence online. Maybe they have an account. Maybe they do not even have that. But you have never seen them post a photo, never seen them share a story, never seen them announce anything about their life to the world. And if you are honest, that probably makes you a little curious, maybe even a little suspicious. Are they depressed? Are they hiding something? Are they just strange? Because in a world where everyone is posting everything all the time, choosing silence feels like a statement. It feels like something that needs explaining. But here is what psychology actually says about these people. They are not hiding. They are not broken. And they are almost certainly not what you think they are. To understand why some people do not post, you first have to understand why most people do. And the real reason is not what anyone admits out loud. People say they post to share memories, to stay connected, to document their lives, and on the surface that is true. But underneath it, something else is happening. Psychologists call it impression management. It is the deeply human need to control how other people see you. Every photo you post, every caption you write, every story you share, it is a carefully constructed signal. You are not just showing a moment. You are building a version of yourself and placing it in front of an audience. And you are waiting for the audience to respond. What does that response give you? Validation, proof of relevance, confirmation that you exist in other people's minds and that your existence matters to them. That is not vanity. That is a fundamental human psychological need. The need to be seen. The need to belong. The need to matter. Social media did not create that need. It just became the fastest, easiest way to feed it. Now here is where people who do not post become psychologically fascinating. They have opted out of that system, either consciously or not. And the reason they opted out tells you something very specific about how their mind works. Researchers who study this group consistently find one defining characteristic. These people have what psychologists call a stable internal identity. Their sense of self does not require outside confirmation to feel real. Think about what that actually means. Most people need their experience to be witnessed to feel complete. You go somewhere beautiful and the first instinct is to photograph it, to share it, because sharing it makes it feel more real. It makes you feel more real inside the experience. But people with a stable internal identity do not work that way. They were there. They felt it. That is enough. The experience does not become more meaningful because 300 people tapped a small heart beneath it. They know who they are when nobody is watching. And for them, that knowledge is not a starting point. It is the whole foundation. But there is a second type of person who does not post, and this one is completely different. These are people who want to share, who feel the pull of it, who compose posts in their head and then quietly delete them before they go anywhere. What stops them is not confidence. It is the opposite. Psychology calls it social evaluation anxiety, and it is more common than most people realize. For these individuals, the vulnerability of putting something into the world and waiting for the response feels genuinely threatening. What if nobody responds? What if the post performs badly? What if people judge the photo, the location, the life? The brain registers that potential rejection the same way it registers physical danger. The stress response fires, and the safest option, the option that keeps them protected, is silence. So they scroll, they watch, they observe everything and contribute nothing. Not because they have nothing to say, but because the cost of saying it feels too high. And here is the quiet tragedy inside that pattern. Research published in Frontiers in Psychology found that the combination of upward social comparisons, constantly seeing other people's polished, perfect lives, and the fear of being judged negatively creates a cycle that researchers call social media fatigue. The platform that was supposed to connect people ends up being the very thing that makes them feel most invisible. Now let me tell you about the third type, because this one surprised me the most. These are people who tried posting, who engaged with social media for a while, and then quietly walked away. Not from failure, but from something more uncomfortable. They realized that the version of themselves they were building online was starting to feel like a stranger. Psychology research on identity and authenticity consistently points to something called self-concept clarity, how well-defined and consistent your sense of self actually is. People who score high on this measure tend to behave the same way in private as they do in public. They do not become different versions of themselves depending on who is watching. What these people discovered was that social media was slowly eroding that consistency. Every post was a small performance. Every caption was a choice about what to show and what to hide. And over time, the gap between who they actually were and who they were presenting online started to feel uncomfortable in a way they could not ignore. So they stopped. Not dramatically, just quietly. because the discomfort of performing themselves was greater than whatever they were getting in return. If this kind of content resonates with you, psychology that actually explains the way people think and why, consider subscribing. It takes 2 seconds, and it genuinely helps this channel keep going. There is a lot more coming that I think you will want to see. Here is something the research keeps coming back to that I find genuinely striking. A 2018 University of Pennsylvania study found that reducing social media use led to significant reductions in anxiety, depression, and loneliness. Not eliminating it entirely, just reducing it. The effect was measurable within weeks. And the people who do not post, who are also, in most cases, not endlessly consuming either, are quietly receiving that benefit without even trying. They are not comparing their body to someone else's carefully lit photograph. They are not measuring the significance of their weekend against someone else's highlight reel. They are not checking how many people cared about what they ate for breakfast. Their self-worth is not being measured in real time by strangers. And that absence of constant measurement protects something in them that most people are slowly losing without realizing it. A stable, private, unhurried relationship with their own life. There is one final thing I want to say, because I think it is the most important part. We live in a world where the pressure to perform your life online has never been greater, where people photograph food before they eat it, where holidays are planned around what will look good on a screen, where moments are increasingly experienced through a lens rather than through the senses. In that world, choosing not to post has become something quiet and radical. It is saying, this moment is mine. I do not need to share it for it to be real. I do not need an audience to confirm that my life has value. The people who do not post on social media are not missing out. They are not falling behind. They are not socially deficient. In many cases, and the psychology supports this, they have simply found a way to live that does not depend on being witnessed. They have built a self that does not need applause to stay standing. And in a world that is increasingly addicted to the sound of it, that kind of quiet might be the rarest thing of all. If this made you think about your own relationship with social media, even a little, I would love to hear about it in the comments. And if you want more psychology content like this, subscribing genuinely helps me keep making it. See you in the next one.